Alright guys, Wyatt here, and welcome back to Lab 6 of our 12-part lab series. And so we're about halfway through our sessions, so congrats to everyone that's made it this far. You're doing great. This week, we're going to be doing part 1 of our lab. And what we're going to be working on this week is practice reading in files. So CSV files, data input, and then next week we're going to be working with an array of non-primitive objects, i.e. the type of objects we make. So let's see what we mean by that. Part 1. You are a middle school gym teacher, and part of your job is to help scout for the basketball team. With data, a CSV file, from a local rec team's last game, create a class called recruit that does the following. Alright. In main, read in toonsquad.csv and create an array of recruit objects. To create the size, ask the user how many players are on the team. Output the analytical methods listed below to help coach. Alright, the analytical methods we'll take a look at next week. We got to keep it short this week. Constructor. So we're going to create, our constructor creates a recruit object that stores the player's name, their fouls, their number, rebounds, assists, and points. Alright, then what we're going to do is create a toString method for the first time. And what a toString method does is when we try to print a single object, instead of in Java, if we print an object in itself, what it does is it tells us where it is stored. It won't tell us their name, number, fouls, rebounds, assists, and points unless we have a toString. The toString will print out this object like we want it to see, not, something that doesn't really make sense to us. So here's the file that we're going to be looking at, and we'll keep it up kind of somewhere on the side while we get started, and away we go. Alright, so as we know, Command-Shift-P, create Java project, no build tools. We're going to create it in Lab 6, a directory on our computer, and we're going to call it, we'll call it recruit. That works. Alright, so we trust the authors here. The first thing we do, because we're going to be creating a recruit object, we have to have our class named recruit, and we have to have this, our file name needs to be recruit as well so they match up. Alright, that first error is gone. We're on a good start here. Alright, so middle school gym teacher, this can get stressful, I know. Alright, so what we're going to do, so we know we're going to be creating recruit objects, so we know we need to create some instance variables for recruit object. Alright, and the instance variables are going to be the variables that a recruit object possesses, i.e. the name, the numbers, the fouls, rebounds, assists, and points. So let's get that started. Pull this guy up as well so maybe we can see it. So our name is going to be a string. Our number is going to be, we're just going to store the rest as doubles. Double number, double fouls, and that'll help. Storing everything as doubles will help us for computation purposes later. So when we try to get the average or something, now it'll all be double, so we don't have to worry about whole numbers and rounding and this and that. Alright, so double points last but not least. And now that we know what instance variables our recruit object is going to possess, we can create a constructor to create recruit object. Alright, and our constructor, as we know from the past, we're going to say public, and then what type of constructor, what kind of variable are we constructing? We are constructing a recruit, and we're going to pass in these variables as parameters, and then we will set them inside like we've done in the past. So recruit, we know it's going to have a name. We'll label as N. That we're going to go name because number could be M. A double for number. Double for fouls. Double for rebounds, ribs. A double for assist. We're not gonna spell it out. Alright, a double for points. And so part of the reason why I have some of these matching is because, you know, to show you that they can match, and the reason why I have some of them different is to show you that they can be different. So now when we pass in the variables to recruit object like so, recruit, you know, maybe his name's Peter, equals new recruit. You know, he's going to have a name, Peter. He's going to have doubles to represent his number. You know, let's say he's number 3. His fouls, his rebounds, assists, all that stuff is good. And as long as that format matches, you know, a string double, 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 you know, a double, double, then it's good to go. It doesn't really matter what these variable names are called. Inside of the constructors, where we're going to say this dot name, referring to the one above, equals name. So what's passed in the parameter. Alright, and then similarly, this dot number equals num. Alright, so this dot fouls equals fouls. So we use this in the event that they are the same name, or just to be overly specific. However, if they're different names like rebounds and rebs, we can just say rebounds because it's a little bit different. It's saying this variable's object is going to be set from this parameter. Alright, so just showing you guys again that it can be a little bit different. And that's what we're about, learning some good stuff here. Alright, so this dot points equals points. Nice. So now we have our constructor set up. We can begin to, I don't know why this is underlined. Oh, okay, because this should be points, PTS. Alright, nice. So now that we have that, you know, we got a recruit object set up. Now gets to the part where we're going to be reading in a file, alright? So we'll leave Peter there for now, that's fine. So we know that our file name is Toon Squad Game 1 CSV, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And what we're going to say is, to read in a file, we have to say, you know, we're going to say file. So let's get some comments going. File called Toon Squad will be saved as file. And so our file name, like I said in that parameter, is file equals new file, and then here's where we just pass in the name of it, and we're gonna say Toon Squad Game 1. This needs to be in quotes, and boom. Alright. Invalid character constant. Maybe we need some of these guys. Alright. So there's our path name. VS Code helps us out with that. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is create a scanner to scan through the file. So we've used a scanner to read from the keyboard before. This time we're going to be using a scanner to read from the file. So we'll call it scan file equals new scanner. But this time we're going to be passing in this file as a parameter, which is why it's called file, and we know that that is our Toon Squad file. Nice. Alright, so we got the file here. What do we need to do? So what we need to do is we need to have parameters. So what does it say? To create the size, ask the user how many players are on the team. So we're going to be essentially creating an array from this, create an array of recruit objects. So we're going to create that right now. Alright, like we've done in the past. Pull up this. Alright, so we need to know how big should the array be. So we're going to ask user how big the team is and create an array of that size. Create an recruit array. So this array is going to hold recruit objects, and we're going to do this right now. So first, let's first prompt the user system.out.println how many players are on the team. Alright, that's a good question. And next, we need to be able to read this in, so we'll create a scanner like we've done in the past that reads from the user. We call it scan equals new scan, and this time to get from the keyboard we say system.in. Alright, and what are we going to be reading in? So team size, the amount of players on the team equals scan.next int. Alright, so we're gonna just move this guy. Oh, we don't want to do that. We're just gonna, there's a shortcut to do that. Alright, so just so that way everything's kind of where I would like it to be, we're gonna do it like this. That's fine. Okay, so and then the team size is an integer. We're going to read in the next integer after we ask how many players are on the team. And that's going to be the size of our recruit array, as mentioned before. So, to create an array of recruits, we say, what are we creating here? It's going to hold recruits. It's going to be an array, which we use, symbolized by this bracket. Now we need to give it a name. So we'll say recruit array equals new recruit, and then here's where we say the size of this array, and it is going to be of team size, right? Because it needs to be that big. Alright, nice. Looks like we got rid of some errors, and that's a good sign. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we need to read in from the file. Right, we want to start reading in information, but so we'll say get ready to read in from file. Alright, so what we need to read in from the file is we're going to be looking at each individual row, and each row is going to come in one at a time. Alright, so we're going to say, how do we say this, string row. So we're going to have the entire row equal this string, and we're going to want a CSV file is a comma separated file. So we're going to create another array that we call parts. It's going to be an array of string, and it's going to be called parts. And parts is going to essentially contain each individual cell here. So you see how we have the cells for, the name, the number, the fouls that they have, the rebounds, the assists, and points. Each cell is going to go inside of parts. It's going to have its own little area. Alright? Alright, so we see here that we need that. What we're going to also have to do is we want to skip over this first line, right? We don't want to read in name, number, fouls, rebounds, assists, and points, because we can't create a recruit object with that information. So to skip over first line in CSV file, to do that we can say, what is our file called? Scan file. scan file dot next line. So this is going to skip over that line, the first line, and that's good. Now we're going to create a loop to go through scan file. Alright, so for int I equals 0, starting at 0, and while I is less than team size, so as long as, you know, we're only reading in that many people, that's all we can read in. After each iteration of the loop, we're going to increment I by 1. And let's see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say row equals, so this entire row equals scan file dot next line, right? So now we have this row is going to be read in. Now all that is right here as one row. That line is reached. What we want to do after that is we want to say parts equals row dot split, and we want to split it on the commas, right? So what this is essentially doing is it's reading in the entire row. So row reads in the entire row, and then parts is going to contain, is now an array like we've talked about before. So a couple individual strings, because parts is a string, and it's going to be split on the commas. So after Y there's a comma, after 3 there's a comma, after 3 there's a comma, after 10 there's a comma, after 12 there's a comma. So in our CSV comma separated file, there's going to be commas after each variable, and that's where we want to split, and that's how we want to, that's kind of what we're going to use to create our array. So right now parts is going to be an array that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values in it. And what we want to do now is, let's see here, we need to create variables to create variables that we can use to set our recruit array. Create variables to set our recruit object. Recruit object. Alright, so we know they're going to be all these objects again. Alright, so we're just going to copy that and paste them down here. We can do Command A and then Shift Option F will format everything for us, which is nice. Alright, and then what we're going to do after that is we're going to say name equals parts 0. Alright, so the very first position in parts is going to be name, and we know that, right? That makes sense. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to say number equals parts 1, but we need to make this a double, right? Because right now it's a string. So parts 1 dot parse. So parse double. Maybe we can do it like this. Double and then parts I. Type mismatch, cannot convert string to double. Let's see here. Here's a solution. How to parse double Java. Alright, so here's what we want to look up. Double, parse double, and here's what we want to say. Parse double, and then we pass in that value to here. So we're going to say parse double, and then parts 1, and let's see here. How do we do this before? Double dot parse double. Alright, so we're going to be using the keyword double to do this. So double dot parse double is how we turn this number from a string to a double. And that's what we're going to do for fouls, rebounds, assists, and points. So fouls equals, and then let's just go ahead and we'll just copy all this and then go bing, bong. And then rebounds is going to be similar, so rebounds and then bing, bong. Assist is going to be also similar. Oh, this time we're spelling it out. Parse double, parts, and now we need to look at, I think it's position 4. Alright. And then that was assist. Now we're looking at the points. And then we're going to go like this. So now we got positions, you know, however you want to look at it, 0 through 5 or 1 through 6. All these variables are being read in. The next thing that we need to do is we need to create a recruit object called, recruit, and then equals new recruit, and they're going to take this auto-populated for us. That is nice. That is nice. So it knows what it's looking for. It created the recruit object from the name, number, fouls, rebounds, assists, and points. And now that we have that object, we want to add them to our recruit array. Alright? So we're going to store them all in here. So we're going to say recruit array, which position? Position I. So for the very first position, it's going to be this recruit. But then what's going to happen is on each iteration, after this loop goes through again, this data is going to be now updated. And this recruit's going to be a new person. And this I is going to be a new value. So it's going to store them in a new place. Alright? So right now, let's say we want to, print our recruit, after we add them. So let's say system.out.println, and if we say the recruit object right here, this is where it's going to be weird because it's going to try to read in. Alright, so we got to go to we got to make sure everything is in the right place. So desktop, lab 6. We got to go ahead and put this Toon Squad thing in here, and it might even be better. How many players are on the team? Nice, so we got it to work. So we got to make sure everything's in the right file, or the right directory. We know we got how many people? Wyatt, Stalvey, Jane Shelby, Lola, Jose, Dr. Shang, and Little Ricky. Alright, well, I don't think I added those right. So it's 7. 7 is the answer. So right now it's just printing out recruit and then, the position, because this is just the position. But what we're going to do lastly to finish this up is we're going to create a toString. So public string toString, and what this does is now when we try to print this object, it's going to print it out in a string format. So we can say first we have to return it. Return the name, plus, we can just say name, or we can say this dot name. Both are going to work. I think name is better because, and then we want to get
let's see here, we're going to do a new line, and then we'll say number, and then we'll say this dot number to show you that that's another way to do it as well. And then we're going to go and say a new line, and we're going to get the files. It'll be found out here. This.files, because it's going to be called an object. And then we're going to do, let's see here, after we count the files, we'll do the readowns. So a new line, readowns. And then let's go ahead and do, this is kind of a little more time now, so plus the readowns. And then we're going to do, after the readowns, the assist. Find the point guides out here. And let's say, this /in, and then plus this.assist.
And last but not least, we need to do, can't forget about the walking buckets out there. Those that are getting points wherever they are. Alright, so points plus points. And again, we don't have to use this all the time. Alright, nice. Now with this toString here, allows us to print object as a whole. Alright, so now instead of looking at the position where this is being stored, when we run this, it's gonna actually hopefully print out each recruit object. Alright, so you can see that the last person we had on the list was little Ricky. Coming in, we're number 17 with 2 fouls, 2 rebounds, an assist, and 2 points. It's reading in like we want it to. Alright, that's good. And we can double check right here. Yep, that looks pretty good to us. So this week what we looked at was reading in files. So now we've gone through an example of how to do that. Next week we'll work on doing some methods with this in part 2. But that's all we got for today. Thank you guys for showing up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you next week. Alright.